All right, let's give Drew a few more minutes. Hi, Marley.
Oops, sorry.
All right. We don't see him by another minute. We might have to start. All right, well, maybe we will start the meeting since we have Kevin and Marley, and then hopefully Drew will pop in very shortly. So, Nancy has agreed to be temp chair for this meeting, so I will need one of you to make the motion and one of you to second as Nancy to be temp chair for today.
Motion.
A second.
All right, wonderful. Okay, Nancy, we'll let you take over the first, the second one.
Welcome, everybody. I'm convening this meeting on November 1st of the New Canaan Parking Commission. It's 7:02. And let's see, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting, which was on September 6th?
Motion.
A second.
Great. Any comments or questions, discussion? Okay.
Yeah,
All
that's good.
right.
All right, perfect.
Stacy, do you want to give us an update? So then next on the agenda is
Yes,
regarding the ongoing renewal process?
yes. So I just want to just double check and make sure that, forgive me, that
Right.
Drew is not having a problem getting on. Okay. Nope. All right. Just wanted to check my email. So let me give you, oh,
He's
there
in
he
the waiting
is.
room.
He's in the waiting room. So let me admit him and then I could begin. Give me 1 second. All right. Perfect timing, Drew. I was just gonna start on number 3 on the agenda in regards to the renewals for the active permit holders and the priority list. So this week, we started the renewal process, started putting together the renewal process for our active permit holders and our priority list former permit holders. And actually today at 4 o'clock, we had to handle it, I'll backtrack a little, we had to handle it in 2 different ways. Unfortunately, our current software program, which is a new software program, which will be the first time that I am working with it for renewals, was unable to put together the option for our priority holders to renew their permits online. So we had to do it one last time the old-fashioned way and send out applications. And I'll tell you how we did that. Once they are in the system and become active moving forward, they will be able to do what our active permit holders are going to do as the renewal process. So they will be able to do this next year. So what we had to do is we had to send out an email along with a application. We sent it out through the town. So at 4 o'clock, we launched the emails to our former lumberyard permit holders, Town Mitchell permit holders, and Richmond Hill permit holders that were on this priority list, which is expiring on November 30th, and explained to them that they need to renew their permits. It explains to them how they need to do that, and they need to do that by November 30th, or they will be taken off the priority list. And should they need a permit in the future, will have to be reapply and go back on the bottom of the wait list for the Richmond Hill or the lumberyard lot. As of about 5:30, just say, as of about 5:30, Of the 357 emails that we sent out, 180 people opened them. We got 15 that bounced back, which we will look into and make sure that they get their applications. So we have a 50% right now opening. So it's a good response as far as people looking at their emails. What they're going to do with that, I don't know yet. I will see tomorrow. But we are moving forward with phase one, as I will call it. Later on this week, okay, we're going to address our active permit holders. I am right now waiting for our company, Passport, is putting together an email that they will send out, though it's coming from the town of New Canaan, with all the active permit holders' account information on that email, so that they will be able to create an account, and then they will be able to renew their permits online should they choose to. It will also include instructions if people do not want to do the online renewal and pay that convenience fee of 3.5% on how they can do it by mail or in person with a check. So they will have an option. Prior to the email going out through Passport, once we get the okay and I see the test from them that we're good to go, we are going to send out a preliminary email to all of our active permit holders explaining that we have a new online renewal software program, and that they will be seeing an email within the next few days and explain how to renew online. So that will be phase two. So far, right now we're moving along. Again, it is my first time working with this program on renewals. I'm hoping it goes well, but we have always handled any issue that has arisen during permits. So I think we'll get everybody renewed the way we should. And that's the update on the renewals. Any questions? Concerns?
What was the like total number of people who were on it versus like have already or on the priority list versus did some like over time like get their permits?
Very
Do you have those
few.
numbers?
Very
Very few.
few. I'm going to say off the top of my head, because I could pick, I'm going to say between 10 and 12 people since September that were on the priority list have reinstated their permits. So it hasn't been many. So we will get a better picture on what is going to happen once I start seeing responses to this email. So, we'll see. Okay, so moving on to the next subject, parking on Pine Street. So Drew is kind enough to put together a whole list of agenda items that he had sent me. And I had spoke with him and explained that I think some of the items, because we're going into an election and we will be seeing a new selectman, that some of the items would be best being added to future agendas. And also some of the items I needed to gather some more information before I could speak to it. But there were a couple of items that I was able to add to this agenda, and one of them being parking on Pine Street, which you, Nancy, had also emailed me about to be discussed. And it's something that way back, Marley and I think, spoke about briefly. So let me give you a little bit about the progress we made there. So what had happened was we started getting, at least I started getting a few complaints a while back on the parking on Pine Street, where one of the businesses, Foreign Car, was parking a number of their vehicles on the street, and they were taking up a significant amount of parking spaces. At the time, there was nothing that the parking department could do as long as they were following the parking regulations. And when they weren't, they were getting ticketed, meaning if they were leaving the car over the 2 hours, not moving it properly, reparking, they would get their tickets. Over time, I started hearing more and more complaints, and it was getting to be a larger problem. And one of the complaints were that they were fixing vehicles on the street, which Public Works sent them out a letter. They responded to that letter saying that they weren't. But we were going to look into that just to make sure, because it continued to be an issue, as well as no spaces available. They were taking up all the spaces. So with that, with the complaints that I got and more businesses, and now people even going to those businesses, we're starting to add on to the fact that they couldn't get to places on Pine Street because they couldn't park. I felt that I needed to address this a little bit more than just seeing what happens. So on October 18th, I took a walk to Foreign Car, and at the time spoke with the general manager and explained the situation. He was very receptive to everything. He understood. You know, the business was growing a little bit, so they were getting more business, and that's why they were utilizing the streets. But he understood that it was causing an issue for the surrounding businesses, which are his neighbors. So I recommended that I speak with the owner, who was not there at the time, and the next day got a call from the owner, and had a very good conversation, and here's where we wound up. So it seemed like they had some spots that they were purchasing for the employees off of the street in one of the parking lots close to their business. I offered and those were for their employees. So what I did was I made a recommendation to them and offered them permits in our Richmond Hill business lot, which is right near their business. Okay, that would take the employees out of the spaces that they were paying for originally for their employees, and they would be able to utilize those spaces for their customers' vehicles to get some of those spaces off the street. In addition, they are working on getting some of the vehicles that are not being repaired, but they're housing them on site for maybe future sale, moved off of their location to another location so that they can put more of the vehicles that they are working on site. They also have a new policy. They will not fix or do anything to vehicles on the street. That means not even filling their fluids. So hoods will not go up on the street unless, of course, they need to jump a vehicle just to get it off the street. So that's the only time that you'll actually see them doing something, that they can't move the car unless they jump it. But once they jump it and get it moving, they will move it to repair it on site. So as of the day after that conversation, and I have had the officer going back to the area and patrolling it a little bit more vigilantly, a little bit more frequently, just to keep, see what was going on. And after our conversation, we noticed that the cars went from about 22, 25 at one point down to 14. So it was a start. Okay, as of this week, the officer reported that they are now down to 8, at the most 10 at any given one time. I know it still sounds like a lot, but given what it was, it has decreased tremendously. That she says that there is plenty of parking on the street now, and the situation seems to have kind of corrected itself for now. We will keep an eye on it. We will keep going out there, watching it. If we see an uptick again, I will reach out. They are willing to work with me, and I told them that I will reach out should I see an increase in cars parked there and start hearing complaints again. So that is the update on Pine Street. So The solution, one of the solutions again was giving their employees permits, getting them out of an area where they can park customers' cars. One of the other solutions is them moving some cars that they're housing on their property that are not being fixed off of there to another location to store it. And could we totally get them off the street? No. Could we make them get off the street? Not if they're following parking regulations, and they will and have been getting ticketed for not doing that. But we're hoping that they continue to work with us and their, fellow business owners to keep the street available for other customers to other businesses. So I hope that kind of gives you a little bit more insight of what's going on. And please let me know if you see or hear anything different, because again, I have told them that I will come back and share with them.
I I had noticed that there's, because I go to Pine Street pretty frequently, and I did notice that it seemed to be an improvement. But then I was there again on Monday, and it was pretty crowded with their vehicles. Maybe less than it had been, to your point, but it's still, there were a lot of their cars there. And I guess the question I have is that I know, you dealt with the situation with the employees parking on Elm Street and going out and moving their cars every couple of hours. And I guess by establishing that employee parking over at the Center Street lot, it mitigated that issue. But is there a different rule for employees on Elm Street to park on Elm Street than there is on Pine Street?
A different rule. Employees can park on the street if they want. We can't stop anybody from parking where they want, but they need to follow the regulations, and it's consistent wherever employees park, whatever street is on. It's a 2-hour parking zone. You must move your car off that street for at least an hour, okay, before you can repark on that street. You can go to another street if you want. You can go to a lot. We offered the free parking because that was one of the issues that employees had, that they wouldn't park, the street was free and they didn't want to pay for parking.
Right.
So he said, if we offer you free parking, will you move off the street? A lot of employees took advantage of that. Do we still have employees that park on the street and play what I call musical streets because they move from one street to another? Yes, we can't stop them. But they can no longer use the excuse that, oh, I got caught in the store with a customer and I couldn't move my car. I'm sorry, but we've offered you other options at no cost.
Right.
Your choice to choose to use that or not use that. And so that would apply to Pine Street. The employees on the employees for that business were not parking on the street. They were parking in the parking lot where they were paying for spaces, and they were parking the customers' cars on the street. So in offering the employees the free parking, they were able to utilize the spaces that they were paying for to get some of the customer vehicles off the street. It's a
Where was the free parking?
Richmond Hill. It's a
Richmond Hill?
Richmond Hill.
Yes.
7-minute walk.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah, it's a quick walk for them right through, the
Walgreens.
parking lot.
Right.
I
I see.
so
they
it's
can go.
not a bad
Right.
walk at all. I mean, I walk to their business from here, so it's not a terrible walk. So it's a start. I'm hoping it gets even a little bit better. They are aware. I told them it will be brought up at this parking commission meeting. It has been brought up in one of the papers. So, I think they're aware that they don't want to be, out there as not cooperating or trying their best to do what they have to do for their fellow.
Do you know how many employees took advantage of the free parking?
That 12. Now, it doesn't mean they're all always there every
Yeah.
day. There was 12, about 12 permits that came in. So,
Like, it's another good example of why there shouldn't be any free parking. But that's another story.
well, on the street, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that has been brought up several times. But, or another,
Exactly.
agenda and discussion. Okay, anybody else have any questions? And again, please keep me, if you hear anything from, while you're there, if you see anything, if you feel like it's going back to the way it was, please share with me. I will definitely be on top of it. And again, I have the officer keeping on top of it and letting me know as well. And should we see any kind of change again for the worse, it will be addressed. Okay, to agenda item number 5. One of the other items that Drew had made mention on was possibly moving the meetings to the second Wednesday of the month so that we could have a July meeting. I sent you both the dates for keeping it as the first Wednesday of the month and the dates for the second Wednesday in the month. I personally could do either or. I have checked and the rooms are available for both dates, so we have availability there. It will be now up to you to discuss among yourselves whether you would like to or not like to. Again, there is no issue on my part, and there is no issue right now with getting rooms availability or anything like that.
Right.
When's the first selectmen meeting? It's like every other week.
The Board of Selectmen meeting,
Yeah.
those are Tuesday mornings every other week, on Tuesdays in the morning.
Okay.
There's no conflict with any other commissions meeting. So
I mean, do my fellow commission members have an opinion one way or the other? I have some things, on my end that make the second Wednesday a little bit more sticky for me, just because I have a standing meeting on the second Monday of every month, and then the second Tuesday of every month, and then the second Wednesday of every month in the morning. So then this would make the fourth meeting that I have a standing meeting on the second Wednesday evening of the month. So, the second week of every month, I'm going to be pretty jammed Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I, for that reason, prefer the first, but, I could try to make it work if that's, the consensus.
Could we move the July meeting just to the second Wednesday and just put it in the schedule as that, if we make the schedule ahead of time?
that would be consideration. I don't see why not. I can't answer definitely, but if that is something that you would like me to double check, I can certainly do that if everyone is agreeable to that. And if that's agreeable to everyone, we can keep the first Wednesdays except for July. I can definitely check into that.
I don't know, what is everyone else? And then if we put that on the schedule now, that doesn't have to be a special meeting. It could be a regular meeting, right?
Correct.
Because we've already
Correct.
said ahead of time. Okay.
Absolutely. Yep. So once I give them the meeting dates with that July meeting date in it, it will be a set scheduled date. So, if we want to do that meeting in July, I don't see an issue with that. I mean, have you ever heard an issue? Okay. I don't see an issue with that we just scheduled that the July for the second Wednesday and keep everything as the first Wednesday. And
Does anyone else like have a
we can
problem?
go with that if you
That-
want.
That
and-
works. That's a big help for me, for sure.
Yeah, in consideration of Nancy, that's fine. I don't love having things right at the first of the month like today. It's just like there's always a changeover, getting things done, deadlines, but that's fine. That works for Nancy. So do you want to confirm, Stacy, and then we'll vote next time, or what do you want to do? You need to double check.
Yeah, if you'd like me, like I said, I don't see a problem, but yes, I could confirm, I can give them the tentative date so they can, mark it on their calendar, and then we can confirm that, yes, we can keep the July meeting. If for some reason we can't, I will let you know, and then we could decide. How does that sound? So, so with something like this, we, I guess, need to make a motion to defer the approval till the next meeting, but I will check into it and let you know, and then we could approve it if it's all good. Okay, so make a motion to defer it, the discussion, the approval to the December meeting.
I make a motion to endorse keeping it at first of the month for 2024, with the exception of July, which would be the second Wednesday, second Wednesday of July, to be confirmed at the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, that's good. We'll do that and we'll confirm it at the
Second.
next meeting.
Yep. I think it's unanimous.
Okay, perfect. It works for me too. All right. Number 6, commission governance. So, again, wonderful, agenda items that Drew had brought up, and one of this concerns the parking commission itself. So I know that you had asked me at our last meeting in September just to get you out something that gives you an idea of what the responsibilities and the duties of the parking commission were. And I know I sent you out the town ordinance and the chapter and the charter. Going a little bit further into it, because one of the concerns is that there's only 4 of you, and we do not have a chairman, we do not have a 5th person. So I wanted to explain a little bit about that. The parking commission has to have 5 people, so we need a 5th person there. It is a 5-person commission. So you need to get that 5th person. We are currently now dealing with an election, and we will have a new selectman next week. We will know our selectman next week. And in December, okay, usually is when the selectmen will make the appointments. So the way it normally works is to get on a commission, okay, a person goes to their I'm sorry, their party, okay, and they say, I like to be on a commission. So if there's a person that's interested in being on the parking commission, they will go to their party, whether it's the RTC or the DTC, and let them know that they're interested in being on the parking commission. What the party does is they will then send a letter and a recommendation to the selectmen. And at that point, the selectmen will take that recommendation and letter and give it consideration and see if they want to make that person, or whichever person they want, appoint them to the parking commission. Because, right, so if any one of you, right now, there is, when I say there at the last meeting, there wasn't a recommendation for a person, there is no 5th body yet. There's no person that has been recommended to the selectmen to be that fifth person on this commission. So that is the first thing we need to find. We need to find somebody that might be interested. So if you guys know of anybody that might be interested in being on the parking commission, you need to direct them to their party, the party they're affiliated with, and their party will then explain the process and do what they need to do to get that person's name to the selectmen. If they are unaffiliated, it was recommended to me that that person should just contact the selectman's office, and the selectman's office will guide them through the process as an unaffiliated person. Once you have that fifth person, it is then up to the commission themselves, the commissioners, to elect a chairman. So it is not up to the Board of Selectmen to pick a chairman. It is up to you guys. So you guys will vote on who they want as a chairman. In addition, you can vote on who you want as secretary, because technically you are supposed to have a secretary for your commission as well. They are the ones that is supposed to actually do the recording, the filing, the keeping of the minutes and everything like that. So once you have that fifth person, then you could take a vote and vote on who you want to be chairman and who wants to be the secretary. So basically right now though, that whole process has to wait until we get a selectman into office, and then they can then get the names of people interested and make their appointments at that time. And I know once the selectman gets settled, I will let them know that we are still short a commission member. I don't know if either one of them have anybody in mind, but again, that is basically the process of how it goes. And usually the appointments are made in December. So we are approaching that time period. So
Has the
again,
commission typically been like split evenly party wise plus an unaffiliated?
past history, it's usually split 3-2. So when the current party is the Republican Party, that is the Selectmen's Party, it's usually 3 Republicans. The history was 3 Republicans to 2 Democrats. I can't answer totally to how that works, so I don't want to give incorrect information.
It's generally the majority party.
Okay,
So if the Democrat wins this time,
the majority would be, okay,
we appoint
Bob is a
over
little bit
time.
more familiar with that. So that's,
Is that just tradition, or is that written somewhere in the charter? Just curious.
I think that's part of the charter. I think there's a
Okay.
process there.
yeah, it probably has to be. I could find that for you and look, again, I don't want to answer to that.
No need,
Not that familiar.
no need. It just was curious.
I think the charter like limits how many, like there can't be like a super majority of one party or the other.
Right.
You're correct.
I was curious, when I was approached, they said, you know, it would be great to have an unaffiliated voter. We're looking for an unaffiliated voter. So I didn't know if that was like 2, 2, and 1 or however. Okay, got it.
The history since I've been doing it was always the 3-2 split since I have been.
And can we make like a general recommendation of like, hey, we need someone like who parks at like who like commutes every day or something at one of the railroad lots, or like is like I don't know.
Well,
Parks
it's my understanding that you personally can't make the recommendation, but if you know a person that you think you might be who might be interested, that you think you might be approached and say, would you be interested? And if that person says yes, it will be up to that person to go to their affiliated party and say, I am interested in being a parking commission member, and that party will take over from there and get that information to the selectmen.
I guess my
You
question
can't
is like,
nominate somebody.
yeah, but can we like recommend like to the board of selectmen, like, hey, we would really like to have someone on this board who has like, who like has a business on Elm Street and, or is affiliated with a business on Elm Street to like have their point of view in our board.
Right.
You talk to the party.
Yeah, again, I think everything has to go through the party. I don't think the Board of Selectmen would even, they would understand what you want, and hopefully that there would be a person that might be a business owner or something that would want to do it. But again, it has to be that person going to the party to have them submit their name. You go into the Board of Selectmen and say, yeah, could we recommend? Of course, you can, anybody could be on the commission. And if you feel that somebody who is a commuter, somebody who's a business owner, if you know that person and you say, listen, you would be great on the commission, you would have to just tell them to submit their name.
It
I mean,
was very
conversely,
helpful
could
to
we
have,
go to like, oh, sorry, Nancy, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I think what Kevin was getting at was that it was very helpful when we had Laura, who was the,
Yes.
Chamber of Commerce head and had a, plugged into the needs of all the businesses. So that if we had some representation, either if there's another member of the chamber that, currently resides in New Canaan, that could be, part of the commission, or if there's another business person or a member of the chamber, that might be interested, I think that would be a great way to go.
I was gonna say, can we do it another way, which is to reach out to like Christina and Chris and say, hey, in your, of your voters, do you have people in mind who you could, we could talk to about their interest in this?
Yeah,
Right.
That's exactly the intent.
and that, right, like Bob said, that's exactly how you would get a person. And once you do, and once you find that person who is interested, then the process would be. It's just not that you could just say, I want this person, or we want to recommend this person. But if you have interested parties, absolutely tell them, you would be great, and would you consider it? And if they say yes, then the process would be to go to their affiliated party.
And then the Board of Selectmen interviews those recommendations.
That's how they make the appointments. That's why it goes to the selectmen once the name is given through the parties.
Oh,
And then the selectmen will make the appointment, and then you guys will pick your chairman.
They don't blindly vote approval. They actually interview the person.
Well, yeah, I would assume if there's only one person, they would, yeah. So that's basically.
I actually have one more question for the governance stuff. When do we have to get re-sworn in?
Yes.
Like
So-
at the meeting? And do we have to go to those?
Go to.
Like go to like the selectmen meeting to get re-sworn in?
No, usually,
The secretary,
it's town clerk.
town clerk.
Town clerk.
Yeah.
Claudia will swear you in. So yeah, you don't have to
Okay.
go to meetings. Yeah. Claudia usually does the swearing in. I was just trying to look, it's a 3-year term. So you're sworn in for 3 years, and then, if you want to continue, you will be re-sworn in after your 3-year term finishes. And usually, again, as per the charter, but sometimes they've gone into January. As per the charter, it's usually a December start.
And usually if someone has to leave the board in the middle of, at some point during the term, the next person that's appointed, I believe, gets appointed for the balance of that term. And then they get re-upped in December.
Oh, I see.
Probably a little more familiar.
Except for this time.
Yeah, you know, I think, yeah.
So that is,
I have a probably sounds a stupid question. I have a stupid question.
questions.
After the election,
Mhm.
does whomever the select person is go into office right away, or do they go in January like it's like a regular election?
It's the end of November.
I see.
After.
Yeah.
So it's
that-
not like January 20th or something, you
No,
know?
it's not like
so-
not like a
Not like-
presidential transition term team that comes in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
So the end of November. So it's highly likely that whomever this person, the selectman will be, you know, the fifth member of the parking commission and the, you know, ostensible commissioner of the said commission is not going to be at the top of their list.
I'm sure they're gonna need a little bit of time to get settled in, but I think because, again, of the charter, there are time periods that need to be followed. So even though it might not be at the top of the list, they do have to address it as soon as they can.
It will probably be done timely
Yeah.
because going through the process, the work is being done at the party level and recommending 1, 2, 3 people, whatever it is, and then it goes to the select person. So I would say,
I would say,
as it arises, they wanna fill these positions also. And they'll find the time.
I just think that the parties right now are a little busy right now with the election and like next
right,
week.
right, and that's why I'm saying, so there's a possibility that maybe not for the December meeting, because again, our December meeting is December 6th. But I think by your January meeting or before that,
Right.
you will have your fifth member, and then you will be able to get a chance to vote on the chairman at that point, probably a January meeting. You know, December, again, we're looking at December 6th for the next meeting. It's a little tight, so.
Right.
It would be wonderful, but it's a little tight.
And when did Jennifer step down? I'm trying to remember.
Ooh, that's a good question. I was just looking at something.
Gotta have been at least 4 months ago, because I feel,
Oh, at least 4 months ago. It might have even been more than that. I was just looking at the parking commission meetings. It could be about 6 months ago, maybe 7 months ago. Pretty early on after the first of you know, the new year, January. Maybe about 3 months into it. She wasn't able to do it. Okay, any other questions in regards to the process?
I don't have a question on number 7, but about number 1, I was late to join. Did we cover that one? Item number 1?
The temporary chairman?
Yeah.
Number 1? Yeah, that was made a motion by Marley, and Kevin seconded it, that Nancy was the temp for today's meeting.
Congratulations.
I'm happy to rotate that responsibility. I mean,
I know.
No
You-
need, no
Go
need.
to right now. But, so number 7, I really don't have much to report. We're pretty much status quo. Again, renewal process started. Fingers crossed that it will go well. New permitting software program. I'm hoping there's not too many issues to deal with, but I've been doing this for a number of years, and whenever they do arise, we're able to get through it and get everybody renewed. So, you know, it should go pretty well. One thing that was brought up to me that I wanted to just reach out and share with you. It was made mention that even though we're keeping these meetings as a hybrid meeting, that it is recommended that commissioners should be doing some in-person time here at Town Hall when the meetings are being held. We keep it as hybrid because in case somebody's away or something like that, but it was recommended that maybe some of you, if not all of you, be in person. So I just wanted to put that out there for you and share that with you, that if there are times you can get here and hold the meetings with me in this room, it is recommended. Okay, so
Can I
Just
ask who did the recommending?
our current first selectman.
It's
Okay.
the way all the other committees
the
and
way most-
commissions are operating at this point.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So most of them are in, they still hold their hybrid meetings in case people can't make it, they're away, they're traveling or something. But most of them are back in Town Hall and holding in-person meetings. So I will be very happy to share.
All righty.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see about that. That may be a deal breaker for me, but we'll see.
Other than that, that is pretty much it for this meeting, unless you have any other questions. The next meeting, I'll give you the updates on our renewal process. We'll add some more agenda items that were recommended. If you have any thoughts on anything.
Well, I just had
okay.
one last question, going back to the top of the meeting about the software and the malfunction or what have you within what's it called, priority? Or
The priority wait list.
Passport, I think.
passport.
Yeah, Passport is the company, the priority wait list, yeah.
Okay, and so I'm just curious, going forward, once this gets sorted, right, and everybody kind of gets up to speed on that software, if we could potentially explore what other options there are within that software to extract the data. Because I think that would be really meaningful for us in some of these larger questions that we're hoping to, find answers to.
Absolutely. I am absolutely. I find trying to extract data from this current system not easy.
Right.
So,
I don't doubt it.
It is a little frustrating to me. I was just trying to pull some numbers the other day and it took a while. So,
maybe we can bring on.
I am going, yes, and I think moving forward, I am also just exploring other options as far as other software programs. It's a more in-depth process than I thought it would be, but I am looking at other software programs that I think and hope would be more customizable, for lack of a better word.
Right. Believe me, I know most of these platforms, they say they have all this dashboard reporting and this, that, and the other thing, and it's the most complex, ridiculous process there is. And so, I don't doubt that it's a pain in the neck to extract that data, but perhaps there's somebody out there, that they could recommend that you could bring on for a couple of hours to set up that reporting for you, so you don't have to be the person.
Another one of my frustrations with this company is the lack of really quick customer service, which is another frustration of mine. So yes, I would love for somebody to get back to me and show me what to do. I can't always reach them real quickly.
Is there anybody internally in our IT area that might be able to?
Unfortunately, I think they would be going through the same thing as I'm going through. I know how to click and query and do all of that. It's just, it's not, it's frustrating. I can't
Yeah.
explain it, but.
No,
it's-
I
it's-
don't doubt it for a second.
You know, if you put one query in, it throws off another thing. If you take that out, it gives you a different number. If you put that in, it's not showing, and you know, so it asks you for all these queries, yet you don't need all of them when you need to run a report. So then what are you asking it for
Now I
me
know.
for? You know, the other program was simple, straightforward, and yeah, it wasn't like this big new advanced program, but it worked for us. So, you know,
Yeah.
I'm managing to work through it, and I do, and absolutely, we'll get you your reports, and that's one of the things that, you know, we will address it in the future meetings, but I will say that I am exploring other options for us as well. I just need to get through this period right now,
Absolutely.
but I am. So, anything else? Okay, well, if we're
Alright,
all
so
set.
Let's see, it is 7:51. So shall we call the meeting to a conclusion, adjourn? Whatever the
Yeah.
language is, and do we need a motion to do that?
Yep, and so you're making a motion to adjourn it, and
I'm making a motion to
Marley
adjourn it.
is,
Marley is seconded.
Marley second, unanimous?
Right.
Good, all right. Well, thank you, members, I appreciate it, and I will see you in December, and you have any questions for me, I'll get back to you with the schedule and let you know. Any questions or anything that you think of, you want to share, just forward it over to me.
Super.
Sounds good.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Take
Thanks
care
again.
of yourself,
Thank
as
you.
always.
Have a
Thank you
good
so
evening.
much.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.